Hello guys, this is Best Random Movies and now I'm gonna explain the movie of Rise of the Planet of the Apes 2011. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The film opens at Genesis, a hereditary treatment drug organization. A female gorilla assigned number 9 and known as Brilliant Eyes by the staff, has been given the medication ALZ-112, and has shown impressive advancement. She is more friendly and more settled than typical gorillas, and has prevailed with regards to finishing the Pinnacles of Hanoi puzzle in 20 maneuvers, which is near an ideal score of 15. Will Rodman converses with his chief, Steve Jacobs, and persuades him that he has information to empower them to continue with human preliminaries for the medication. The following day, Rodman and Jacobs show up before the directorate in the Genesis meeting room. Will make sense of that the new medication causes neurogenesis, the development of new synapses, and may mend quite a few degenerative mind issues, like Parkinson's or alternately Alzheimer's. The main incidental effect is that the subjects presented to the medication have a green shimmer to their eyes. Back in the lab, the senior gorilla guardian, Robert Franklin, is experiencing difficulty persuading Brilliant Eyes out of her enclosure. She acts forcefully towards Robert and different aides when they attempt to fight her with a tether shaft. She goes primate and spins out of control through the structure. The pursuit closes when she crashes through the glass window of the gathering room and the structure's safety officers kill her. After returning to the lab, Robert shows to Will a child primate concealed in Brilliant Eyes' cell. This makes sense of that their supposition that was a mistake. Splendid Eyes was not acting fiercely, a direct result of the medication, however, to safeguard her kid. Robert doesn't have the heart to put down the child, and gives the errand to Will. Reluctant to do as such, he chooses to bring the child back home. Will gets back, where he resides with his dad, Charles. Charles experiences Alzheimer's and needs care from a medical caretaker when Will isn't anywhere near. Will shows the child Chimp to Charles, who before long begins to appreciate it. Charles energetically calls the child Caesar, because of his affection for Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, it is suggested. Caesar before long shows mind-boggling progress, ready to take care of himself after just 2 days. He has evidently gotten the infection-based ALZ-112 from his mom. His impermanent home with Will stretches out to 3 years, and Will sets up a space for him in the loft. However, ape-like here and there, the now half-developed Caesar, Andy Serkis, is a cherished individual from the family and shows incredible insight, discussing complex thoughts with communication via gestures. While Caesar has been showing mental development, Charles' Alzheimer's is deteriorating and he has a squabble with his medical attendant. Will faces a significant challenge and takes ALZ-112 from Genesis. He gives a portion to Charles, and it seems it is a wonder drug when the following day, Will finds his dad sitting at the piano, playing impeccably. In the interim, Caesar has become fascinated of watching the neighbors playing outside, and breaks through the window into their neighbor's lawn. Notwithstanding, his appearance startles the neighbor's girl, and her dad, Hunsiker, furiously goes after Caesar. Will and Charles figure out how to protect Caesar, yet not before Hunsiker has harmed him. Will slips Caesar into a zoo for treatment. Caesar is treated by a veterinarian there named Caroline Aranha. During the strategy, Caroline is intrigued by how well Caesar knows gesture-based communication. He even suggests through gesture-based communication that Will and Caroline ought to go out to supper. In the long time since he was given ALZ-112, Charles' condition has decayed. Will reasons that his invulnerable framework has created antibodies and a more forceful infection is required. Will faces a challenge by going to Jacobs, admitting his mystery, explore different avenues regarding his dad, and makes sense of that the medication fixes mental harm as well as makes individuals more intelligent. He says he has revised the infection and requirements Jacobs to endorse new creature testing. Back at home, Charles gets confounded and meanders outside and into their neighbor's vehicle. He endeavors to drive it, yet winds up harming it. Hunsiker, a similar neighbor who went after Caesar, irately pulls Charles from the vehicle. In his hysterical state, Charles can't convey his purposes behind being there. Caesar watches this from his window in the upper room, and after seeing the neighbor shouting and furiously pushing Charles, surges out of the house. He goes after Hunsiker, tossing him to the ground, hopping on him, beating him, lastly gnawing off a finger. Charles perceives Caesar, and hollers Caesar, no. Caesar eases off and goes to Charles. The episode causes Caesar, by court request, to be taken to a primate safe haven by creature control. Will and Caroline walk him in, and bid farewell. Will returns to the ape sanctuary and attempts to bribe John Landon into letting him have Caesar. John is willing to do so, but when Will coaxes Caesar to go with him, Caesar refuses. That night, Caesar breaks through the window he found and returns home. He takes ALZ-113 from Rodman's cooler and gives it to the gorillas at the safe. The following day, John Landon notices the gorillas having something like a gathering. The gorillas dissipate, playing it off. Landon excuses it as something strange. That evening, the primates are getting back to their enclosures, yet Caesar recoils, facing and overcoming Evade in the yard. When gotten, Evade says, "Take your smelling paws off me, you damn grimy gorilla." Caesar talks, perceptibly, interestingly, yelling no. The other overseer is an observer and runs into the enclosure region, attempting to save the now oblivious Avoid. The primates assault him, yet Caesar cancels them and, in an offer of kindness, places him into Caesar's enclosure. Evade attempts to get away and winds up dead. He is holding a steer's nudge and Caesar hits him with the fire hose. At sunrise, Will calls to beware of Caesar, however gets no response. Rolling over to explore, he finds the offices destroyed, the gorillas gone, and the ALZ-113 canisters open in the enclosure regions. He chooses to raise the alert. In the interim, the gorillas are advancing across town. Caesar partitions them into two gatherings. Buck goes with one gathering to the zoo to free the primates there, while Caesar drives the second gathering to Genesis. The officials are looking out for the extension to fire on the primates, yet Caesar again partitions his powers. One gathering climbs the suspension links, while one more swings from the underside of the design to move beyond the barricade. In the helicopter, Jacobs gets a quick look at Caesar and orders the men to take shots at him, thinking that the demise of Caesar will cancel the others. Be that as it may, as the helicopter drifts low to the scaffold, Buck jumps onto it, bringing it down at the expense of his own life. Caesar feels misery over the deficiency of his confidant, and before long finds the remaining parts of the helicopter problematically gripping to the side of the extension, with Jacobs arguing for help.
Take my hand. Come on.
All things being equal, Caesar dismisses and Koba pushes the helicopter off, killing Jacobs upon influence with the water. The primates continue into the woods. Will and Caroline, in the interim, have advanced onto the extension. Will takes a squad car and heads for the woods. He calls out to out Caesar, yet is confronted by one of his adherents. Be that as it may, Caesar before long shows up, and the others step back. Will endeavors to accommodate with his companion, promising that assuming Caesar gets back home with him, he'll safeguard him. Caesar shocks Will by holding him close and murmuring Caesar is home. Will looks as Caesar and a few different primates move up into the trees and study the backwoods. What's more, the world passed. In a consequence grouping, we see Will's neighbor Hunsiker detailing for obligation as a pilot at San Francisco Global Air Terminal. As he strolls to his plane, he understands that he is draining from his nose. As the camera container up, we see the computerized sheets glimmering to various objections. A sign that soon, these spots will be tainted with ALZ-113, fixing humanity's destiny.